I'm a nature nut, I'm not afraid to admit I'm wild about the wild things and I'm proud of it. I'm just a simple case, open and shut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut. Today we'll go bird watching, tomorrow we'll catch toads. The next day we'll take photographs of bugs along the road. I never get the feeling that I'm in a rut. That's why I'm a nature nut. Well, I'm a nature nut, I'm not afraid to admit I'm wild about the wild things and I'm proud of it. I'm just a simple case, open and shut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut.
Well, hello there, nature nuts. How are you? It's time for another bug show, but today I'm not going to talk about bug lives. I'm not going to talk about different types of bugs or bug color, bug structure, all that sort of thing. Today I want to explore the intricate relationships among three important concepts: the concept of bugs, the concept of people, and the concept of food. And there is a tremendous number of bugs that consider people to be foods. Everything from lice, fleas, mosquitoes, black flies, biting midges, human botflies. It's a long and impressive list. But you know, that's not what I want to talk about either. What I want to talk about today is entomophagy, the act of people eating bugs. And apparently, according to many entomologists, it's a perfectly normal idea. We should do more of it. It would perhaps even solve the problem of world hunger. I'm not sure if I completely agree with that, but why don't you pour yourself a glass of something that you think will wash the taste down, and we'll give this a fair shot, see what happens. And you guys stay on the plate. You were not cheap, at a dime a piece. This is a fairly expensive looking meal. Well, you know what they say. What's worse than finding a worm in your apple? It's finding half a worm in your apple. We all hate the idea. That's why they go to great lengths in the produce business to make sure it doesn't happen. But here I am. I'm a professionally trained entomologist. Been interested in bugs since I was a kid, and I know intellectually that many bugs are edible. But I can't get past the fact that to me, this looks like food and bugs don't.
It is also worth noting that many people will say, upon accidentally consuming an insect, "Ha! Don't worry, just a bit of protein." Well, let me show you with this dissection that that belief is unfounded. Here in the thoracic region, yes indeed, much red muscle, rich in protein, and yet, if one travels into the region of the abdomen, removing the top plate, you'll see a variety of white gushy materials which are indeed, yes, you guessed it, fat body made up of fat cells. Thus, indubitably, an insect body is seen to contain a rich tapestry of nutritional elements. Good for me, for you, and for everyone. For further details, please refer to the Gastronomic Arthropod Cooking Chart, or GAC table, as we like to call it, requestable at this point in time from your local medical and nutritional agencies.
If you do find a medical or nutritional agency with a GAC chart, please drop me a line and let me know.
Okay, little Carixids, what do you think? How's this for an interesting potential ingredient for the evening meal? Now, most of the insects that are used for food for people are insects that are locally very abundant, like grasshoppers and things like that. Certainly in many places, these water bugs, water boatmen is the group of water bugs we're talking about here, the family Carixidae, they can be incredibly abundant, and you'd think that they would be good candidates for human food for that reason. They don't have any defensive secretions as far as I know. I don't know, never eaten one.
Corixid comes from the Greek word choris, which means bed bug, but unless you sleep in lakes, you will never find a Corixid in your bed. They're entirely water-dwelling critters. Anyway, what I was going to say about them is that some parts of Mexico, I have read, they collect the eggs that Corixids leave in shallow saline lakes. Now, it's really interesting that they can live in saline lakes to begin with, because almost all insects avoid salty water and there are virtually no insects in the ocean. But some Corixids can indeed breed in saline lakes, and when they lay their eggs, they lay millions of eggs, and these eggs are apparently harvested and made into a protein-rich flour. Doesn't that sound yummy? Now, I really wanted to get a hold of some of this Mexican Corixid egg protein-rich flour and taste it for you right here and now, but it's very difficult. I tried and I failed. And I think the only way, if you want to know what Corixid egg flour tastes like, you pretty well have to go to Mexico and make it for yourself. So, let me know if you do that. I'd be really keen to hear about it.
Native Algerians collect locusts, drying and salting their catch to preserve them for feasting during lean times.
There's a couple of nice-looking morsels. Now, these ones look a bit like cockroaches, but really they are giant water bugs. These are Lethoceras americanus, the North American giant water bug, also called the electric light bug, and the toe biter. And, I can tell you right now that nobody that I've ever heard of eats these bugs. But did you know that in Southeast Asia there's an even bigger species of giant water bug, almost twice the length of these ones, called Lethoceras indicus, and they roast them and eat them as quite a delicacy, but not anyone can roast a Lethoceras indicus. You have to know how to remove the stinky thoracic glands first, but once you've gotten those glands out of the bug, it's apparently quite tasty.
Venezuela's Piroa tribesmen are fond of giant tarantulas plucked from their dens in the rainforest and roasted over an open fire.
Say, have you noticed that more and more among us are consuming insects and other related arthropod creatures as a regular part of our daily domestic diet? And yet, I know I've noticed it, and perhaps you have too, there are still among us certain persons of ignorance who make it difficult to engage in everyday innocent entomophagy without social distress. If you should find yourself in this context, and I hope you do not, perhaps having a few scientific facts at the ready will help to expedite and disimpunge the situation on your behalf.
The efficiency of conversion of ingested food is far greater for insects, typically 20 to 40%, while in beef cattle it is a paltry 5 to 10%. The result is that bugs require less land to produce more protein than conventional domesticated chordates. Most insects are nutritionally balanced, high in protein, with encouraging levels of carbohydrates, iron, and calcium.
Yeah, of course, the idea that you can buy bugs at the supermarket is still kind of a weird science fiction fantasy. You know, how they used to say, in the year 2000, you'll be able to buy bugs at the supermarket. Didn't happen, not likely to happen, but I'll tell you something. You can read ingredient labels all day and all night, and you'll never learn exactly what's in those jars and cans.
How very interesting. Did you know why these little labels were first placed on ketchup bottles? Yes, to hide the insect floaty bits. Indeed, many of the foods we eat already contain insects. After all, agricultural areas are literally swarming with them. It is very difficult, perhaps impossible, to remove all the little buggy bits from the vegetables that we place upon our kitchen table. Yes, the evidence is here. It looks like an insect bit to me, but there's more to this story than meets the aided or unaided eye. Let me direct your attention to some statistical facts. Canned tomatoes may contain an average of 10 or more fly eggs per 500 grams, or 5 or more fly eggs and 1 or more maggot per 500 grams, or 2 or more maggots per 500 grams. Mushrooms, canned and dried, may contain an average of over 20 or more maggots of any size per 100 grams of drained mushrooms and proportionate liquid, or 15 grams of dried mushrooms, or an average of 5 or more maggots 2 millimeters or longer per 100 grams of drained mushrooms and proportionate liquid, or 15 grams of dried mushrooms, thus making the food inspector's job not only interesting, but quite complex. And there you have it, a situation which is both nutritionally sound and, believe it or not, perfectly legal. Bon appetit.
Thank you. Okay, well listen, I've been thinking about it, and I'm ready. The intellect must triumph over superstition. Let's just do it. But that brings up the question, where do you start? Hi, folks, how are you? Big John here, Big John's Grasshopper Emporium. Now, I want you to come right on down here. We have got the finest selection of edible insects all ready for you. I'm talking bandwings, two stripes, Carolina locusts, all triple grade A, free range, organically grown, and hand-picked right here on our own beautiful Grasshopper Farms, processed the very same day so that you have a premium product for you and your loved ones when you sit down to dinner time.
Oh man, sometimes my weird fantasies amaze even me. No, you know, in reality, the avenue for procurement of such culinary delights is, well, a bit less elegant, let's say, but still kind of handy for most of us.
Well, of course, you can't buy edible insects at the grocery store, at least not yet. So if you want to eat bugs, you have to go to the pet store. And that's what I do, although I don't buy them for myself. I buy them for my frogs and my lizards. I'm at my local PJ's pet store where I always buy my bugs from my friend Jody. And as you can see, they're not cheap. So Jody, we've got crickets here. 10 for $1. That would make for a fairly expensive meal for me. Does anyone ever come in here and buy bugs to eat themselves, or do they admit that to you?
No.
So what kind of animals do they buy these insects for?
They buy them to feed lizards, reptiles, geckos, anoles, as well as a lot of birds. The bigger birds will eat them, snack on them, as well as hedgehogs.
Where do they come from?
They come from a local supplier, which they raise them on a cricket ranch.
The idea of a cricket ranch? Totally incomprehensible to me. I'm a cowboy on a cricket ranch. So what do you feed the crickets while you've got them?
We feed them carrots, potatoes, fish flakes for, a different variety of food, as well as the carrots have moisture in them, so that gives them their water.
So they're getting fairly balanced nutrition. They're not just eating newspaper or something.
Right.
That makes them seem a little more appealing.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And the mealworms, you just keep them in the fridge and they're sort of dormant, are
Yeah, they go into hibernation. That way they last longer.
they? Right. So is that the only reason people buy them, for pet reptiles and amphibians?
Some people come in here in the summer times and, sometimes in the winter when it gets a little bit lonely, and they'll ask to buy some, so we'll ask them why they're wanting them, and they'll say just for the sound. They chirp, and males and females will interact, and they'll make a really nice, pretty outdoor sound.
That's a good point, isn't it? I mean, they sometimes get out in my house, go to the furnace room, chirp away through the night.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. So it could happen that you buy a bunch of crickets wanting to cook them up, you listen to their beautiful song, you feel sorry for them, and you keep them as pets. Wouldn't that be a nice little outcome to the story?
That would be.
Yeah. It's not going to happen for me, though. It's my job to eat them. So, could you load me up with, I don't know, a couple hundred?
Sure can. Just let me go grab a box for
All right.
you.
Thank you. Reptile keepers are now strongly concerned about cricket loading, feeding the bugs high-quality fodder before offering them to the pets.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming at you live from the Coca Cucaracha Cabana, it's Leapin' Lloyd Lizard and the Mexican Jumping Bean Mariachi and Polka Band.
about a steak or maybe a baked potato. But if we're out of beef, I wouldn't even mind to try a bit of alligator. Well, I'm an omnivore who's keen. Well, my taste might seem obscene. I got a hankering for some hippo or boar. Don't hand me no lean cuisine. I don't mind salty or slimy or spicy or stinky blue cheese. Heaven knows I've had my share of these. But what I really like to chew on is a salad topped with caterpillar croutons. Unwaveringly, I'll sample your delicacies.
I like to boil them up. I want to fry them up. I want to slurp them up.
Don't stop me now, I'm just warming up.
I like to spread them on bread. And stuff in pitas. Mine race around the rice. Ooh, that one fell on the floor. Yuck.
Well, the special today is something I gotta say is extraordinary. Meringue of grease is the main entree. The soup is cream of grapes. You gotta watch out for those legs. With the side of flies, blue bottle size, it's lovely to be crunching on compound eyes. And for dessert, the final word can't be anticipated. There's a Slurpee made from maggots, nits, and mice. You get beetles instead of mints, all organically going to convince that the bugs do supper can be out of sight. Wow.
I wish I had just a little fajitas tonight.
Bon appetit. Armed with my crickets and a few hundred mealworms, I set off to enlist the help of a professional chef, Kip Chu of the Newt restaurant in Calgary.
Now this looks like my kind of place.
Well, looks like you're ready here. What's the first recipe, Kip?
Well, today I'm gonna make mealworm fusilli, a nice pasta dish.
And you make this recipe all the time, but without the mealworms.
Yes,
Here,
minus the mealworms.
If people came in and gave you a special request, would you throw them back in?
Unlikely.
Have you ever had a mealworm before?
No.
No, neither have I. Okay, so the ingredients are all here. What's the next step in the process?
Well, the next step is we're gonna cook up some pasta. And then we're gonna get the mealworms ready and we're gonna toast them in the oven.
Beautiful. But we'll kill the mealworms by freezing them first. I think it's only the right thing to do.
All right, we'll do that. Well, next we're gonna blend them in with some butter, and then we're gonna add a couple teaspoonful of Parmesan cheese here, and then some garlic, some fresh basil, some fresh chopped parsley, and we're just gonna stir this in, and then we'll put it on this baking tray that we got here, and then we're gonna throw them in the oven.
And they're looking less like mealworms every moment, which is, in my opinion, good.
So we're gonna take our mealworms out of the oven, and we'll throw in the rest of our ingredients. And let this cook it up for about a minute or two.
Looks really good. What's the next step?
Put in some pasta. Toss this up. And now we're gonna add the mealworms. And now we're gonna finish it off with some Parmesan cheese. Let's put some fresh herbs on here. That's it.
Okay, Kip, you've conquered the mealworms. Now it's time for the curried crickets.
We should mention too, you know, that when you prepare the crickets, it's easy to take the legs off when they're frozen. You just sort of roll them between your hands and the legs just fall off. Yeah.
So we just got our basic ingredient first to start with. So now we're gonna add our crickets.
Absolutely. Cook them well, get them in early.
That's right. Okay, we got some coconut curry sauce that I prepared. It's just a mild curry paste with some reduced coconut milk.
Are we trying to mask the taste of these crickets, or are we enhancing the taste of these crickets?
We are enhancing the taste of the crickets.
Absolutely.
It's right along the side here. This will complement the potatoes and other things in there. Like so. Okay. And then, while finished, put a sprig of rosemary right in the center. Clean our rim. And there it is.
There's no way that we're going to give an objective opinion on what it tastes like. You and I are going to lie. We're going to say it tastes good no matter what, right? So we really should get a second opinion. Although, I think it's going to taste perfect. Good evening, ma'am. The head chef has asked me to give you a sample of his 2 new recipes, a bit of cricket curry and the mealworm fusilli. There are 2 separate forks for you. I'd be very much interested in your opinion.
Really?
Wonderful. The trick is never look them in the eye.
Oh, okay. Tastes like curry.
It's fine cuisine.
Yeah, I don't know about those ones. I don't know if I could do that one.
Is this a Calgary mealworm?
It's actually an Edmonton mealworm.
Stomping grounds. I'm gonna try it. It's very crunchy.
That's good bug anatomy.
Take a bit of pasta here.
Oh, God.
Don't look it in the eye.
It's crunchy. I thought it was going to be slimy. Crunchy's okay. Crunchy's okay.
James, you've definitely that straightens your spine,
Oh,
doesn't it?
definitely.
It's therapeutic value as well as nutritional. Not half bad. I consider that a smashing success.
It's not that bad. No, it's really okay.
Really okay.
Really okay. Phrases like not half bad, really okay,
Positively delicious.
positively delicious. Oh, we're over the edge now.
Oh my gosh, I said you're
There you go. Well, you know, I started this show quite skeptically, and now I think I'm willing to admit that bugs are just as food-worthy as all the other edible creatures with which we share this beautiful planet. I'm still not convinced that they will ever become a human staple food or that they're the solution to world hunger, but that's an interesting thing to learn about, to explore. You know I like bugs when they're alive. I'm a little bit reluctant to eat them, but hey, I'm still a nature nut, and I hope you are too, and I wish you all the best with your own bug-eating adventures, whatever bugs you choose to eat. If you don't eat any, I'll still be your pal, but... there's just nothing like it. And it's not too bad.
Same time each and every week, uncensored and uncut. No doubt about it, I'm a nature nut.